I don't need much of an introduction.
Let's see. We're live. So I'm here with Cam.
How's it going?
Do you want to go by Cam?
You can call me whatever. I mean, my
Cam.
name's Cameron. You can call me Cam.
Cameron is. Well, I met you how many months ago?
It's been a while. I don't know.
And I like your channel. I think I like your content. I like your fishing videos, and so what we need to do is at some point put a link to you have a new channel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the new channel is just going to have all my music stuff.
Insane Drummer. Hey, Barrett, grab that link and come on with us. Barrett's on the YouTube side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was hearing it all echoing because
you have to mute the YouTube side.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, but I remember the first time I went on Hangouts, I was like, what in the world is going on? But this is my first time back doing a Hangout since I was banned. So I feel like I'm free at last. I'm free.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it would be fun just to kind of test the whole me and Courtney watching The Bachelor. Come on now. Tell Courtney you have more important things to do. We're going to talk about philosophy. Barrett said that he and Courtney are watching The Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I don't even watch TV at all.
I don't either. That's why I'm here and he's there.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do is, and Cam doesn't even know about this either. I just suckered him into coming on just so I wouldn't be lonely. But I thought it would be kind of cool to do something different. I've kind of gotten, I don't know, with the whole, I don't know if I should even dredge up the past, but when I got banned, I was in this mode where I was kind of, I don't know, a little miffed with the gun community because of all the drama. And so when I came back, I thought I'd do something different.
Right.
And I have always been, I grew up as a Christian in, a Southern Baptist Christian home, right? But even early on, I knew, I just had this inkling that I have always had the desire to learn more. And I was always frustrated with the time in, say, Jesus's life, where between 12 and 30 or whatever, and I always imagined him doing all this traveling and I imagined and it was my imagination. Obviously, I have no background or no basis for this, but I always imagined him going to different places, and even in his early years, maybe even learning. Now, you say, well, he's the Son of God. He doesn't really need to learn, so there's a little bit of a conflict there. But I like to imagine that, and the reason I'm being a little bit of a rebel, because I'm like, okay, scholars, feed me, since I'm curious, feed me information or knowledge. I never could find it, really. There's no, so in my seeking, I found other philosophies, studied other religions, Hindu, Buddhism, other, I studied Jewish, faith, and
You just went muted again.
Did I go mute?
Hang on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. No, I can't hear you. I think your cord is coming down or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
What in the world? Good Lord. Anyway, so in that, I'm going to go to the YouTube side just so I can kind of keep an eye on the comments. Shout me out, Chrissy Rose. Hey, is that Chrissy as in? Oh, okay, I get it. So they're being a troll. Already getting trolls. Good Lord. Anyway, I have to stay focused on it. So anyway, it's probably, she's like, shout me out. And then when she started hearing me talking about other philosophies, she's like, oh no, we can't have that. We got to call Tony names now. So anyway, the most recent thing. Well, I tell you, you tell people what your background is before I go into this kind of a rant thing.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just raised like at an independent Baptist background. Maybe, let's see, 3 or 4 years ago, I joined an apostolic church, which is totally different than Baptist. And then within the last year, I went back to Baptist. I go to a Southern Baptist church now. And the belief system between the two are totally different. So I made a change, and then I went back to the Baptist thing. And I've studied other religions and stuff too. Like I know about some of them. I mean, I don't know everything, of course, but I like history, so that kind of goes hand in hand with history. So.
Oh yeah.
So that's about it, really.
I think that's part of what my need is to understand more about history. And when you look at the, my latest thing is, now this is going to sound crazy, but yogis, the yoga, and the gurus. And my current favorite is this fellow named Sadhguru. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce it, but it's. I'm going to type it in the Sadhguru. I'm going to type it in the chat so people can see it. What's this show? Oh, I get it. It was hiding. Okay. So anyway, that's my newest thing, and he's a guru. He's a yogi guru who basically has kind of become a little bit westernized. In other words, and you're not going to believe this, that he started the Isha Foundation, and they actually have a facility in no other than McMinnville, Tennessee. This guy's a guru from India, and has a temple, or whatever they call them. They're not really temples. They're just places where you go and learn. In McMinnville. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's weird.
And he talks about how he loved the mountains of Tennessee when he came here. But I'm actually trying to find. I'm going to search, and I thought if you could. And I'm trying to decide how much like of an introduction to do, because I was wanting to do kind of a series where we would have different people come in and share their own belief systems,
right?
And maybe learn from people,
right?
And again, I basically, who's coming down the stairs? Okay, I'm doing a hangout. Okay, so my wife's telling me I'm talking too loud, so I'll try to talk a little bit softer. But maybe I'll have to go into the shop next time. But what was I saying?
You're saying you were wanting to get other people's beliefs and interview like other people.
Yeah, because I think what's frustrating for me is that, is my microphone still working?
Yeah, everything's good.
It's weird because the little light's not going on and off. But anyway, one thing that's frustrating to me about the Bible, like I was saying earlier, was that I thirst for more knowledge. In other words, there's a lot of, and I think, let me back up for a second. I think it's interesting that you come from the independent Baptist, because my best friend growing up was his dad was a preacher, an independent Baptist preacher, and he did missionary work.
Right.
And they were very strict. And I
Mhm.
remember when we were young teenagers, we would go to their church camp in the summer.
Mhm.
And they even had a road down the middle of the camp, and the girls were on one side and the guys were on the other.
Yeah.
And you couldn't cross the road, right?
Yeah, that's
And
pretty normal with those. I
yeah.
believe.
And that was like, I got in trouble because I was like, hey, David, let's do a mission. We'll cross the road. It's like Mission
Mhm.
Impossible.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a good idea. But it's funny because the church I went to was, I think, might have been one of the first Southern Baptist churches that allowed women in a leadership role. In other words, we had an assistant pastor that was a woman. And that was just kind of unheard of. This was 40 years ago. It's a long time ago. And so that was, we were kind of bashed by, we were almost, I think they were almost kicked out of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Oh, really?
I go from, so that's kind of the broad spectrum that I was brought up under, where I would go to my best friend's house and hear the independent Baptist side, and then I would go to my church and hear the moderate Baptist side.
Right.
But I still didn't hear anything about, I don't know, the interesting history, right? Like, what did Jesus do in that period of time? Why don't we have any context?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really say, to be honest. I mean, it says when he's a kid, he went and ran away and went to the temple, and his family found him. And then he kind of skips until he's about 30 something.
Right.
So
we're missing like 20 years.
I always took it as he was just working as a carpenter. I don't know. I mean,
well, I like to think that too, because I'm a carpenter, but that's romantic. But I have a feeling that there was a lot more going on.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's something going on.
And I don't know why the scholars of the day couldn't have just, I don't know. So I guess I'm trying to explain my curiosity.
Well, just from like context clues, I believe you can pretty much tell that. Well, I guess was it Joseph was his dad, kind of like Mary was married to Joseph, right? Well, you can pretty much tell that Joseph had died by the time Jesus was, being the Jesus that we all know of, because I think whenever he was about to get crucified or whatever, he told one of his brothers or somebody to take care of his mom, take care of Mary. So according to Jewish stuff, that would mean that his dad or Joseph would have been dead because he would have been the head of the household. Then Jesus was the firstborn, so that means he would have been the head of household. So it would be like going down the line. So we know Joseph was probably dead by then, meaning Jesus probably was taking care of the household by that time until I guess he started traveling. I don't know. That's the way I always looked at it. Because
and that's what I believe also, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you wonder why is there such a historical gap? Why the need to? Wouldn't it help people to believe more if there was like, I mean, would it really have been that much of a trouble to include some more
details?
Content? Yeah.
Well, I figured, and the way I've looked at it, because I've thought about that before, is I mean, imagine if he started when he was like 20 something, who's going to believe him? Like if it was me, I'm 23. If I'm out there telling everybody all this stuff, they're probably going to be like, he's just some young kid. I figured maybe he had to mature till he's like 30 so that he's at an age where people actually listen to him. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the way I've kind of.
Well, I know, but that doesn't mean we can't get any
details from what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, nobody really knows.
I think it puts a level of ambiguity in for people like me who just love history, like you, and just want to know, what is the deal. So I guess what I'm trying to do is give a background on my seeking, the desire to seek.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I honestly don't think. I mean, I believe. Obviously, I'm a Christian and I believe in the Bible, but I don't believe. I don't. I think that maybe humans may have maybe screwed around a little bit too much with the, with the text.
Right.
And there's, you've seen the Apocrypha or whatever, and all the books of the Bible that were not included, and for whatever reason.
Was it like 6 or 7, something like that?
Yeah. And what's this book I have? I have a book. It's called. Where's my window? I keep going to the YouTube side, so I lose my. It's called The Lost Scriptures. And I have several books like this, and it just goes into the books obviously that weren't included,
right?
And you say to yourself, okay, so at some point in time, there was a conscious decision made by a human to not have. I mean, as a Christian, I'm supposed to believe that the Bible is the inspired Word of God.
Well, I've actually studied that before, and actually, okay, so the Apocrypha, the Catholics, they had the main church for a long time, and they always included it in the original, like Latin or whatever Bible they had back then. The very first King James Bible had the Apocrypha in it, and then somewhere like on the second revision or something, one of the presses in England decided to take it out because it had been debated for like a really long time if these books were considered anything more than just like extra reads, like extra history and stuff, or if it was considered divine like the rest of the Bible. So pretty much there was a split, and they came to the conclusion they didn't think it was divinely written, so they ended up taking it out, and the Catholics ended up saying that it was, so they kept it in. And now I think the Catholics are about the only people that have it in, and even the Jews, they don't have any of the Apocrypha in their scripture, because they have like the Old Testament basically.
Right.
So I mean, they've been debating it for a really long time, and then I guess whenever the Catholics decided that it wasn't divinely written, the Protestants said, "Well, we don't agree. We're going to take it out." So, because there's been bad blood between the two ever since they formed, ever since Martin Luther. So, it's kind of, there's been wars and everything fought over, Protestants and Catholics. So there's definitely clashes going on there,
I was trying to, I thought I would just show some brief, just like little clips. And while you were talking, I was looking at. Okay, here's inner engineering. This is what I was looking for. What I might do is do that. Let's see, escape. Set escape. Okay. So what I thought I might do is, and you can tell me whether you can hear this, just play a short clip.
Okay.
I gotta go and screen share. I remember. Entire screen. Share. Okay, then go back. Tell me if you can hear this or not.
Yeah, I can barely. It's breaking up, but I can see what's happening.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can.
All the other gadgets have been produced by this gadget. pay little attention to this one. If the necessary understanding and awareness and ability to transform these gadgets happens, your ability to live will be greatly enhanced. Then outside technologies are not a barrier. Outside technologies are a boon that's been offered to us. But the boons that have been offered to us are turning into curses in our lives because they have not taken care of this one. They're only trying to take care of the external situation. We have done a lot of engineering in the world outside, and because of this, we have a huge level of comfort and convenience in the world today. The kind of comfort and convenience that no other generation of people could have ever imagined. That level of comfort and convenience we have. Though we have this, though we are the most comfortable generation ever on the planet, we cannot claim that we cannot claim we are the most joyful or loving generation on the planet for sure. So in many ways, this generation is becoming the most neurotic generation or most complaining generation because we have taken care of the outside, but we have not taken care of the inside. The world is engineered the way we want it, but are we engineered the way we want ourselves to be? So there is a certain way to engineer our system, to make this body, to make this mind, to vary chemistry within us the way we want it. If our wish to be is to be blissful, to make the world blissful, we need too many things. But to make this one person blissful, a willing person, somebody who wants to be blissful, it shouldn't be difficult at all. But this has not been done because people have never paid attention to the mechanics of how a human being functions and to engineer that the way we want it. So these are technologies for inner well-being. Everybody wants health, peace, blissfulness, but these are simple things. Why these things are not happening is we have never paid attention to the inner mechanism of what a human being is. To pay attention to that and to create it the way we want it. This is inner engineering.
There's significantly more ease in the
So the guy is obviously he's not your typical yogi in that he speaks English very well, he communicates very well, and he breaks from the tradition a bit of there. I'm getting a lot of background noise from your.
For me,
Yeah, but
probably my chair. I was probably moving too much.
that's okay. I was just trying to gather some thoughts, but that I guess I'm trying to give an introduction for him is that he's not your typical. In other words, there's another. If you go to the inner engineering or his, Sadhguru page, there's a. Is there somebody in here with us?
I don't think so.
Oh, I keep hearing. Anyway, I was saying, there's a lot of I'm trying to explain because I know a lot of people are going to kind of freak out with this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't. The guy's wearing a rag around his head. But if you just listen to some of the philosophy, it makes a whole lot of sense and it will offend people. Like the whole thing is looking inward, right? But and it's about engineering your inner self, right? It's what he does is he takes yoga, and it's funny because he has this one video where he kind of he's being interviewed by one of these really high end yoga instructors, and she I guess she's kind of joking, and she's talking about what position, what's his favorite position, and he's like this one, so, and he's sitting there just like a normal, his normal self.
Right.
He gets a little offended, and he explains how yoga has been kind of, I don't know, it's been twisted in the Western world to be an exercise,
Right.
not a philosophy.
Right.
No, it's not about spirituality. It's more about an exercise than it is. It's just kind of funny. And the more of the videos you watch, you realize it's not about religion at all. It's about looking inward to yourself and seeing how taking care of yourself and doing the right things yourself, and taking care of your inner being. If everyone did that, then the world would be a better place.
Oh yeah.
So I just think it's funny, and I've been listening to him for a long time, and I know what people are going to, they're going to say, "What is this, ArtisanTony? What? It's kind of crazy, what's going on there?" But I don't know. What do you think about that kind of thing? Have you ever looked at those kinds of sources to?
I mean, not really, but at the same time, I'm open-minded. I mean, I don't have a problem with him as long as he's not saying anything crazy. I mean, I didn't hear him say anything like that. It doesn't sound that much different than some kind of like a TED talk, I mean, self-help type thing. In a way, I mean, they're all kind of the same. You're just kind of working on your whatever you're trying to work on. That's what they're trying to make you feel better about. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with it if it helps people,
Well, this guy has apparently started some sort of renaissance in India where he has gotten people to think about, it's very difficult to summarize this guy. And he embodies the sort of, I imagine him as like the world's greatest libertarian.
Right.
Because what he's done is he has inspired people. Like one of his projects is the what does he call it? The rivers, renovating the rivers, restoring the rivers in India because they're all polluted.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
So he's trying to get industries to treat their pollution, and then get the public to plant trees around the rivers. So, but the thing about it is, he's not trying to introduce it as some sort of government created program where they tax the public and spend through government. It's a private movement,
right?
You see, and so that kind of a thing appeals to me, and the whole, it's really difficult to explain. I'm not very prepared because I didn't think my hangouts were going to work. But you would really have to just go watch probably 20 of his videos to see it. And so he sits down and has these talks and has these questions and answering periods where people will ask him questions, and he comes up with the most practical answers you can think of. Like there's one of my favorites is this young like Indian millennial says that she's having difficult competing, in college, and she's, what can I do? Sadhguru, what can I do? And he says, increase your competence.
Oh yeah.
So she was expecting him to come up with some sort of,
excuse or
deep inner thought, spiritual thing. And he's basically saying, if you want to be more competitive, you have to increase your skill level and your competence. And that kind of stuff, I think, the very practical, everyday use.
Yeah.
The philosophy that can be used on a daily basis is what intrigues me.
Well, the way I look at it, everything you're saying, I agree with, really, but not everybody is going to agree no matter what. Everybody's wired different, So it's like, for example, and this is probably a bad example, but I was watching it's like news bloopers or something the other day on YouTube, And this news lady, she goes up to a guy, and they were in line for lottery tickets. And she said, if you win, what are you going to spend your money on? The guy turns around with a straight face and says, hookers and cocaine. So like in that guy's mind, that's what he cares about is hookers and cocaine. Somebody like that, you're not going to get them to watch this guy. You know, you're not going to get them on deep thought on almost anything. So you got varying levels of people out there where their mind's on different things. So there's always going to be conflict and stuff, no matter if some people are open-minded or not. There's always going to be people that just don't care. You know, they're in their own world when it comes to whatever. They just do what they do.
I guess my position on this is that if we had, I really think I wonder sometimes if we had more history, more context on the life of Jesus and what he said on a daily basis, there would be practical applications.
Right. Well, I mean, even the stuff that he said that we do know, there's all the people at the time, they didn't get it. Like all the different things he was trying to say, nobody understood what he was going at until, you know, he died and rose again and everything. Then it kind of made sense. But at the time, you know, like he told them they were gonna eat of his flesh and drink of his blood and stuff, and they thought he was crazy. They didn't, you know, at the time nobody really understood what he was saying. But you know, after a while, in the long run, they figured it out. But that's why he spoke in parables so much, because he would just blow everybody's minds. You know, he was like the ultimate guru.
Well, yeah, and that to me, there's more. I don't know. You almost feel at some point you feel like you're detached,
right,
from it. You know,
because you've heard the same thing your entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you grew up in it. You've probably heard the same sermons over and over. You know, yeah, I can see that. You know, why somebody would be detached. You know, it makes sense to me.
Here's a good clip. Let me do this one. Am I still screen sharing?
Not right now. No.
I'm not. Am I?
No, not right now.
This is the one where he's talking about the rivers. You can't really see it if I just play it this way, can you?
I can see it right now.
You can?
It's smaller, but yeah, I can see it. I don't know if the YouTube people can see it. Yeah, I can see it fine.
That you know, your family and friends and everybody on Facebook. All of them should give a missed call. Have you? And all the people that you do not know in the country, you must make sure they give them. However you do it. These are the only three things you have to do right now, because I want you to understand. 25 years ago, by natural process, by natural democratic process, 4 to 5 governments would have come and gone. You don't know who will be in power. You don't know whether they will be alive or not. So if 4 to 5 governments have to stay on the same course, then people of India have to give one overwhelming yes. I didn't hear anything. An absolutely overwhelming yes, so that if 50 to 60% of the electorate say, this is what we want sustainable maintenance, management, and vitalization of our rivers and water bodies. If India speaks in one voice, I don't think any political party, any government, whoever gets elected in the next 25 years, are going to forget that, and they will stay on board.
But you can see he's talking to the people.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we don't really have any leadership in our country like that outside of where's my stop? Here we go. outside of politics. You know,
Right.
we used to have people like Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'd get in trouble if I said Malcolm X. You know, we had people like that. We don't have. I'm just impressed that we have that India is going through this sort of renaissance, because if you look at the typical yogi, the typical spiritual leaders of the country,
Mm-hmm.
they do all this weird stuff where, the one yogi might go through his whole life with his arm raised just to show
Mm-hmm.
in the air, and it never comes down, or they may speak, what's their sort of god named Shiva, whatever.
Yeah, the
They
one with a bunch of arms.
Yeah, they may never say any word except
Mm-hmm.
for that for everything. In other words, they would say Shiva for hand me that bread, or
Mm-hmm.
there's a they
Kind
may-
of like the tree on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I am Groot.
yeah. So, but this Sadhguru has understands the need to be able to sort of gather a broader audience around him and help, for their country, and
Mhm.
also, outside not approval, but what am I trying to say? Really influence,
Right. Now, does he live in Tennessee, you said, or does he live in India?
He just opened one of his Isha Foundation facilities here.
Oh, okay. So he lives in India.
Yeah, so maybe once a year he'll come here and you can go there and.
Okay. Well, I mean, he kind of reminds me of Gandhi. I mean, do you know much about Gandhi?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know who he is, and I know he inspired India. That wasn't Gandhi a Hindu?
Yeah, he was. He lived in South Africa for a while, and he actually helped get South Africa to stop. They had like a lot of like second class citizens and stuff towards India people that lived there. So like he ended up doing like a civil rights thing, kind of like Malcolm X or somebody, except for he didn't do any violence or anything. He got thrown in jail and everything else in South Africa, and he ended up moving back to India eventually after I think like 10 years over there. And he basically started the Indian government, even though he never actually ran for government. He got a big movement going to get India to be
into Britain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I knew that story. I didn't know what you were exactly asking me, but
yeah, I mean, he kind of reminds me of that guy though. He's trying to unite everybody.
Even that was more political.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What if and it's kind of hard to explain or summarize, but there's no this guy is, and this is why I said he was the ultimate libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking to the individual.
Right.
He's trying to inspire the individual. He's not trying to inspire special interest groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's trying to get each person to look inward and say, this is what we need to do for our country, for ourselves to better ourselves.
Right.
There's a lot of application, and that he's not just speaking. That's just one project that he's got going, but he's applying his philosophy to that issue, that problem that needs to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having huge amounts of success with it.
Right. Now, is he, like you said, he's a yogi. Does he actually do all the yoga stuff too, or is he just the philosophy side of it? Is he both or no?
I remember when he watching a video about him talking about when he became enlightened, that he actually, I think he said he sat in one place for, I don't know, a month or something. And people thought he was dead or whatever.
Yeah.
When he came out of that sort of meditation period, he was, the guy that he is now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that answers. It's not apparently, from what I understand, our our impression of yoga is totally different from
Than what he is.
the original practice.
Right.
That it was more of a it's inner seeking, seeking inner knowledge. And
Is he Buddhist?
no,
Is he like a?
there's
I
no
don't know. I don't, most of them aren't, but is he?
no
Because
there's,
it sounds like he's a Buddhist the way he is.
no there's no religion.
No religion on him. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not a religious thing. That's why I keep referring to it as a philosophy, because
Right.
it's not. It's not Hinduism. It's not Buddhism. It's not Sikh or whatever. What it's not. It's none of that.
Right.
I
mean, I don't see anything wrong with having a philosophy. I mean, everybody does. I mean, I could see people getting upset or whatever because he's got a towel on his head, but honestly, that doesn't mean anything.
I think becoming a mature person or becoming an objective person requires you to think outside of your box a bit.
Right.
One of the first websites I ever built was artisanoutofthebox.com. And it was when I first started my company, Artisan Construction. I said, okay, we're not going to be stuck in this typical box, and then I started applying that to, everything I thought about. Why do I have to be? Why am I stuck in this rut or this? Why do I have to think one way? And and this is where you start to meet prejudice and and bias. You can't talk to just everybody in this manner. You have to. It has to be somebody with an open mind who wants to. Just because you're studying something doesn't mean you believe it or you change your beliefs. But you may run across something that applies that you can really use in your own life. And what appeals to me is the way our country has evolved into depending on government so much, even on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat. Both of them are establishment. Both of them feel like that government needs to be a huge part of your life. And that we can't do anything outside of, we can't accomplish large scale. We can't build a wall without Donald Trump being the president,
Right.
It seems like we've become dependent on both sides for leadership for those kinds of things. And we all, and secretly, government needs private help to accomplish anything. That's the irony in the whole thing, is that, to go to the moon or build a wall or do whatever it is, build an atomic bomb, they always had to go to people outside of government to accomplish.
Oh yeah, I mean, like World War II.
Yeah.
I can't think, like General Electric or somebody was making machine guns. I mean, because they had to, because they needed the guns. So I mean, they went to corporations to actually build stuff for them for the war. I mean, they couldn't have done it just out of their own, armories. Or it's like even you're building that sign for the National Guard.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good example on a small scale. That's exactly this, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm interested in how it interests me on how societies evolve from needing that. It's almost like we evolve from having some sort of spiritual or philosophical base to this need to have government, some sort of government run our daily lives. And to me, I'm obviously against, when a third of your population becomes government employed, something's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think the media they've done a lot to destroy, what America is in a way, because I mean, just in my lifetime, I'm only 23. I mean, things were a lot different back when I was young versus even now. I mean, probably in the last 5 years, the media itself, I don't even think the people's changed, but the media has changed to the point to where you can't say anything without offending somebody. You can't say anything without being a racist or a bad guy. I mean, that's just the media. I don't think your average person gives a crap. I mean, it's somebody that's pulling the strings with all these different channels and all this stuff. I mean, they're in control of what we see and hear, and it's just weird. Like, we'll use Donald Trump for example. It shouldn't matter if you like him or not. He's the president, so you should treat him with respect. I've never seen so many different media channels and stuff just bash one guy so much as I've seen, Donald Trump get bashed. I mean, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Obama, none of them got bashed like Donald Trump has. It's because he's not a part of either side. I mean, he's like an outsider. So they just bash him.
Well, and that has evolved, because when I was your age, the news was the news, right?
Right.
There wasn't so much editorial. It wasn't the editorial. The editorial, you had to read the newspaper to get the
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, it's all opinion now. There's no news. It's just whoever owns the company, whatever he thinks is what we hear.
I remember watching Walter Cronkite on the news.
Yeah, what they call him, the most trusted man or something like that.
I mean, you just got the story, right? You didn't get the slant. You got the story, not the slant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the evolution, of the.
Oh yeah. And it's not just that. I mean, everything has a political agenda nowadays. I mean, every TV show or something, there's always something they try to throw in there. It's like, I don't know if you watch any Disney movies or anything, but Beauty and the Beast, the remake, I watched it like last year, and they pushed like a gay agenda at the end. Like, I mean,
oh yeah,
just because they wanted to, just to do it, because they're trying to push liberalism. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but at the same time, they're pushing an agenda. Everything has an agenda nowadays.
Well, and that's why, I spelled that wrong. I was updating the title. YouTube saves the title from each live event you do to the next, so you have to make sure you change it. But
okay.
But to me, that's why when I saw this evolution, the paradigm shift in our society, I started going back and looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at what are the outside sources of information or history or philosophy or whatever, to get me away from this, so that I wasn't influenced by and it took a lot of work for me to kind of install this idea in my kids that you gotta research, you gotta learn, you gotta be self-taught, all of this stuff about everything, religion, politics, philosophy.
Oh yeah.
That you can't just because I also saw the education system turning left. So,
oh yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. I had an example of something, but I don't even remember now. I'll think of it here in a second. But
my two of my kids went to public school, and thankfully Alex has been fortunate to go to private school. But the public education is just, it's gone downhill, unfortunately, over the past 30, 40 years.
Oh yeah, my schooling was a joke, honestly. Even my college was kind of a joke. Like, I went to Oliver Springs High School or whatever, but I mean, there were so many days where I didn't do anything. I remember, like, in Spanish class, the teacher would just put on Spanish soap operas, and that was our class. Like, we didn't do anything. And then in college, even my English teacher, it was called, like, I don't even remember. They had a fancy word for English, but like composition or something. I don't know what they called it. But anyways, the dude, he would just get in there and talk about whatever he felt like. And we had like one paper the entire semester, and that was my class. That was it. And he ended up getting fired later because of something, I don't know, drugs or something. But I mean, both in my college and my high school was a joke. And oh yeah, I just remembered what I was going to say is going to high school, they would push the liberal agenda every day. I had economics with a guy, and he was talking about how great Obama was, and he's the best president ever. And really, I mean, that's great if you feel that way, but as a teacher, I don't think you should have a side. You know, you should just teach the I can't even say the word curriculum, and not push your politics, because you're going to be influencing these kids, you know.
Well, you kind of want your education to be kind of like your news, you know, unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
What was the what's the curriculum? Oh Lord, help me! That first came out. I remember. What was it called?
The one that everybody hates.
The one that basically made excuses for wrong answers.
Oh, I have no idea.
Allowed you to. What in the world? I guess my kids have been gone for years now out of that, and anyway, I remember the first time I saw some of their homework. I was like, no, there is an answer to this question. It's not. There's no ambiguity to what, and it was something in math, you know.
I don't know. I know one thing that I think it's kind of wrong is like in America, the way we do our school system. Sorry, I just got a text. The way we do our school system is we focus on like math and science, and that's great if you're going into that field, but you don't learn anything else. I mean, most of the American young people can't find Germany on a map, or they can't find Japan on a map. They don't know their history and stuff like that. And I almost think like social studies, I guess, is more important than the math and science, because I've never once used either one of those things, you know, in real life. I talk to people every day. I'm a salesman, but I don't use math or science really at all. I mean, I run a register, but other than that, that's just basic, you know.
The Common Core was the curriculum.
Common Core, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. But which was unheard of, you know. It was kind of like stick to the facts, ma'am. Well,
yeah.
You know.
Right.
There's no ambiguity about math or history or any of that. But I don't know, the idea. I guess to me, growing up in the Bible Belt, I always felt even afraid to share the idea that, you know, your mind could be open.
Yeah.
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 And it's really, and you start to realize why we have the reputation that we have.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think in the end, you know, obviously I'm a Jesus believer, but in the end, I believe we're going to find out that nothing that we believe is 100% correct.
Right.
That there was nothing ever wrong with seeking, you know, studying other religions, other philosophy. Doesn't mean, you know, I guess the only one I have a real bias against, obviously, is Islam. But
right.
But you know, that's a bias I have from deep rooted, you know, my own history. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have tried to read some of the Quran objectively, and you know, listen to some of the imams. You know, some, and the thing I can't get over about Islam is that it seems like the Quran inspires people to deceive infidels.
Right. Well, I mean, it says that in it. I've read passages and stuff that talk about, you know, it's okay. It's not a lie, basically, if you're lying to a non-Muslim, you know.
Right. Right. And they have I don't know. You see these people who have converted from Christianity to Islam, and I don't know. They have all these things to say, and obviously they have their own bias. But
Well, most of them are women, the ones that convert. It seems crazy, but they really are. They marry a Muslim guy or whatever, and they convert or whatever, and a lot of times it doesn't work out. They end up having to run away, and when they don't just get a divorce like a normal person, they have to hide. Like that guy's gonna probably come get them.
yeah, you're almost like an apostate if you divorce your husband or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's a different whole culture there.
I have tried, so I don't want people to think that I haven't at least tried to understand, all religions. I've tried to be inclusive.
Right.
But
right.
The deeper I go to that side, the more my bias starts to show up.
Right.
I don't have a problem with people who espouse individuality. The individual, looking inward. I guess your typical Christian would have a problem with someone who doesn't look up, who only looks inward. That would probably be offensive. But once you learn that the source of that guy who says, this is inner engineering, that he's not a religious person, then you say, oh, it's just philosophy.
Right.
And that's how I kind of justify enjoying the things that he talks about.
Right. I see nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a philosophy separate of your religion. I mean, I don't think most people would say that's wrong, just because he dresses different or something. I don't get how he's any different than, like, I don't know, Dr. Phil or somebody. I mean, just because he's not in a suit and tie, he has his philosophy. And if you like that philosophy and it makes you feel better, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, and the difference between, someone like Sadhguru and Dr. Phil is that Dr. Phil feels like you need an outside source to heal yourself, and
right.
Sadhguru would say all of that stuff is in inner engine. You have to dig deep inside yourself to find the problem. To solve.
Right. You're prioritizing stuff. Like, I mean, inside yourself, basically.
You certainly wouldn't prescribe drugs.
No.
Psychotropic drugs like Dr. Phil would,
Right.
I think that would be the biggest difference between American psychiatric treatment.
Well, I think a lot of that is it's a business. Like the doctors here, they try to get the deals, like they try to have sales. It's all about money. I mean, capitalism is a great thing, but also our medical system is also ran by capitalism. So, I mean, they're trying to make money. So, I mean,
well, we tend to mask our problems instead of, I think that it's sort of human for doctors to, most of them probably understand that the healing must come from within, but that the only thing they can offer is this pill that makes you feel better until you can heal yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So, even the pill that makes you feel better has side effects.
Oh yeah, most of them are horrible too. If you've ever seen the commercials, talk about how great it is, and in like the last 2 seconds, it's super fast speed talking about how you're gonna die. That's how all the pills are.
But it's interesting. I mean, my goal would just be to get people to say to themselves, okay, I'm just going to look at it. I'm just going to listen and look and seek. Because really, I don't think I don't know. It's I yearn, obviously growing up in the church, I've read the Bible how many times,
Mm-hmm.
So I just seek, after a while, you just want to read more, learn more, understand more.
Right.
And you can say, well, the purist, the Christian purist would say, well, Jesus has all the answers for you. And he would when it comes to salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably come up with sermons but I don't know how many sermons I sat through where I almost cried from boredom. It was the
Yeah.
same old sermon, I'd heard 10 years earlier. And, you can buy these books of sermons, and I'm sure some preachers do.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? I just think some of these guys could benefit from looking outside their content,
Their bubble.
their bubble.
Yeah.
And
Well, I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of preachers. I feel like I would say that they are okay. They're supposed to represent like kindness and love and everything, but there's a lot of them that are like they're kind of mean dudes. Like they'll attack people and everything else. It just depends on the person, I guess. But there's a lot of good ones out there as well.
yeah, and it's kind of funny because but I mean, I guess the most respected, who am I going to say, Billy Graham or somebody like that?
Probably Billy Graham, yeah.
Who went his whole life without making it too much about him.
Mm-hmm.
And you see these modern popular preachers who
like Joel Osteen.
There you go. He almost seems to be Hollywood, the Hollywood rendition.
Oh, I don't consider Joel Osteen a preacher. Like I've watched some of his stuff, and it's like he said in one of his videos, he said, "Oh, the key to having a successful church or whatever is to be light on Scripture." So he'll say like one verse, and then the rest of it's like a self-help talk. So like he just talks about how you're going to be the best you, and it's going to be the best week. And if you give money, you're going to be blessed. That's basically what he teaches.
Give me money, and I can help other people.
Yeah, if you give money to him, then God will bless you. Basically, that's what he teaches.
And you've got people like Sadhguru saying, "Hey, he gives his content away. Like you can basically repost his videos, and he doesn't care. He won't flag you. He's saying,
right,
please spread this. So the ego is. I can always spot an ego a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the first indicators I look for.
An ego.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know you were saying like about the gun community. You used to come out of that. There's a lot of ego, out of those guys because I've watched them all for years. That's really when I first got into YouTube, probably like 2011. I found Hickok 45. Before that, I never watched YouTube at all. Now I watch mainly not gun people, but I mean, if you watch some gun videos, I mean, there's a lot of ego going on there. It's all about being tactical and all that. And I could care less about being tactical.
Yeah, I mean, it was sad to me to spend almost 10 years trying to become a part of that community and then seeing the way it evolved into the infighting and bickering and name calling and
right. Well, I mean,
basically gave it up.
For me, I'm tiny. I mean, I've got my biggest channel has 70 something subscribers. My other one has like 4. But my main channel, Cam, it's CAMM, the fishing channel. I've decided I just want to keep it mainly fishing. And I had my other stuff like ukulele videos and whatever. And I just feel like the people that watch it don't care. So I'm just going to mainly do fishing because that's what they're there for. And then my other channel, I'm going to put mainly music or video games, whatever I feel like on that. Because no matter what you do, if it's guns or that or whatever, you're going to have people that tune in just for that one thing. And the rest of the time, they don't care. So I split into 2 to try to do that. But I don't care if I ever make it big. I really don't. I'm just putting it up because I enjoy putting it on there. And that's, that's it. I like having the people comment, and then I get to know people. It's a fun little thing. And if I ever make it big enough I can make money, that's great. But I really don't care about that. And I think that's where the difference is. Some of these guys, they it's more of a business than it is a hobby for them. So they take it really seriously. And like if they can bash somebody else and get views, then they'll do it because it's profitable,
Yeah, that's what disappointed me the most. The people that I thought were like libertarian, sort of, very objective people, were supporting these people bashing other people.
Right.
I just the whole thing just turned me. It was a turn off. And I told certain people, I said, look, this is you're hurting this community by supporting this stuff, and I got no response, and so I was like, okay, whatever, So, and then about that time, I got my first strike and a ban from live feeds or whatever, live streaming, and so it was easy to take a break from all that.
Well, I really don't watch many gun videos now. I watch some Hickok, and I just like him kind of as a person. I mean, I met him and stuff, and he offered to take us to lunch and everything else. I mean, if he wasn't that nice of a guy, he wouldn't offer to take you to lunch and stuff like that.
I like Hickok. He's a nice guy. He and John, really nice guys. I've met them, I don't know how many times since started, but they're very they're who you think they are is who they are. They're just nice guys, you know, and that's part of their success. That and their natural talent for firearms. They're like you and me. We grew up in Tennessee and part of the culture.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're shooting your backyard all the time. You're gonna be good.
That comes through in their videos, and they, I think that's part of their. I think anybody who is genuine in what they do, will be kind of successful.
Well, one thing I like about his channel is, even though he's not political in his channel, and that's why he's successful. And it really doesn't matter if he's liberal or like conservative, because he stays neutral in his videos, so he could reach everybody, And his fan base may think he's the most hardcore right-wing thing in the world, but that doesn't make it true,
But he's not,
he's not.
He's an ex-teacher. He comes from academia, and I have my whole entire family are basically teachers, and I understand that's a culture in itself. So I think one of the reasons he doesn't talk about politics is because he knows better.
If he started talking about politics, he would lose probably thousands of subscribers. When you get that big, you can't.
Yeah. And I kind of made up my mind a long time ago. I wasn't going to worry about, and that's why I never got really big. Because I'm mixed in.
Do you know who Demolition Ranch is?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him change over the years. I remember watching him when he was a little channel, and he's gotten big, and he's a lot different now. And it's partially an act, but there's really nothing wrong with that, because that's basically his business, So like his act he's portraying in his videos really isn't what he's like. But at the same time, that's what's making him money. So I don't have a problem with that.
Oh, I don't have a problem with people acting. I think you kind of have to, you get what you, if you're going to act though, you kind of get what you, if it doesn't work out, you kind of get what you ask for, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, kind of like Logan Paul or somebody. All his viewers are like 8. Is that what you mean? Like whatever you cater to is what you're going to get. Like all of his viewers are little kids, but he's still huge. Logan Paul, you know who that is?
You think his viewers are little kids? I figured they were.
Oh, they are
millennials.
Well, they're like anywhere from 8 to like 15. That's all his viewers are.
I would have thought he would probably go up to even his own age, which is what, 25, something like that.
I really don't think so. I mean, the 25 down to, I don't know, like 18, they're watching like PewDiePie. They're watching some of the other guys, like I'm trying to think, like the Hodge twins, Dom Perzetti or whatever his name is. They like that sort of stuff. I mean, all these prank videos and stuff, that's all little kids that watch that.
I had a guy in the comments say, since this is a philosophy stream, I must ask, how would you define life? And I think I would define it as a creation by someone who is super intelligent. I don't think it's an accident that we are here. I believe in a creator, and as Christians we call him God, but it could be a super intelligent being. I'm one of those kind of guys who is guilty of trying to mix science and religion. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In other words, how do I explain it? It would take another hour for me to go through what I might believe or might not believe, but I think you can't. To me, some things are kind of obvious when it comes to science, mm-hmm. and if you don't accept the obvious and try to somehow meld it with your belief system, mm-hmm. then you're not being objective. In other words,
right?
I have a hard time believing that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Right? Mm-hmm. That's just in my heart. I can't help that. Mm-hmm. But I don't see anything wrong with believing that God, the Creator, created the Earth and the universe, because I believe there's probably more. It's more likely that it was created than an accident. So right. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to, and that's part of what I'm seeking for, right? I'm seeking for that ultimate answer. Right. How do I meld? I believe that Jesus was a real person who walked the earth, mm-hmm. and I believe that's true. Mm-hmm. Even Islam thinks that or praises Jesus as a prophet, right? Right. They don't believe he's the Son of God, but mm-hmm. they accept him as a prophet. So, right. I think there's enough evidence that believing in Jesus is not unreasonable. Mm-hmm. As to how the universe was created, I'm just not sure. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I mean, if I were to define life, I would just say it's a journey, and you make of it what you make of it. So, I mean, if you get up and go to work every day and that's your life, then that's what it is. Or you could travel and learn or whatever. I mean, it's all what you make of it, but it's a journey and you're really just passing through. I mean, we're only here, you could be dead tomorrow or you could live to be 105. You never know. So just take it one day at a time is the way I look at it. And as far as what you were saying about Jesus, there's just as much proof that Jesus existed, at least as a human, not even going into the religion thing, but at least as a human, as there is like, Pilate or Caesar or whoever.
And so, see, I struggle with that because it's kind of easy to believe that Jesus was a real person, right? Because there's enough historical evidence for that.
Oh, there's a ton of it. There's a ton of it.
So after that, you just have to say does your faith go so far as to believe that he's the Son of God? And I was raised to believe that. Mm-hmm.
Well, as far as that goes, I mean, people say, oh, it was all a scam, Well, the way I look at it, if it was a scam, out of the 12 disciples, I think 11 of them were tortured to death, and they died saying that, he was the Son of God. So they believed it at least, So
Yeah.
If they all died for it, I think only one of them died of natural causes. So.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm looking at the comments. I agree. The only reason I mentioned Islam was because to say that there's a lot of historical context for Jesus being a real person, even the religion that I don't agree with believes that Jesus was real.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want people in the comment, who are listening to think that I don't believe, I don't, Islam is only 600 years old. How old is Islam? I don't know. It's
I
older
don't know.
than that.
It's probably like 1,000 years after Jesus or something. At least 500.
I meant to say 600 years newer than Christianity.
Yeah.
Not 600 years old.
Yeah.
Christianity is obviously older, but
right.
It's and I'm not. I guess the only reason I brought up Islam was just was the example of when I was going through a period when I wanted to learn more. I did, I couldn't make it all the way through the Quran, obviously. So.
Oh yeah, it was horribly written. I mean, not to bash them, but if you just go by a literal standpoint, I mean, the Bible was pieced together. The English version of the Bible, was pieced together by like great writers. They got several great writers to put it all together. Islam really didn't have that, so it's not fun to read. Like they think Shakespeare and a couple of other really good writers helped write the English version of the Bible.
I'm trying to figure out why messages keep getting retracted I don't know if you're looking at the YouTube side, but
oh yeah, I see it. I mean, the dude could have done it himself.
But a lot of the comments are being retracted.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I guess the whole point of this series of hangouts, which I thought would be fun to have, was just to get off the subject of guns for a while, and B, to hear what other people think about religion and philosophy, and then just kind of use that. There's still a chapter in the book I'm writing, the artisan philosophy, that deals with I joke in my book and say that I'm trying to create the an answer to everything or whatever. And so there's a chapter about it goes from construction standards to my best practices in construction to religion.
Right.
What would an artisan believe? That kind of thing. And I have found myself that is the hardest chapter to write, because you really can't write that chapter. You really can't say what someone you can't suggest to someone what someone should believe.
Yeah.
I can say what I think a good trait, a virtue. What are the virtues? And that's what I've kind of settled on. We're basically creating a set of virtues that an artisan would have, not necessarily trying to influence what someone would believe, with regards to religion. So
right.
That's kind of what research for my book kind of also led me down this kind of path too. So.
Well, one of the things I don't understand, and I want to get your opinion on this because it doesn't make any sense to me. People in general, like non-religious people, we're going to talk about them. They have, most of them have no problem with Islam. They have no problem with Hindu, Buddhist, and then they hate Christians. And I don't get that. Why do they hate Christians? I think it's because most likely they were raised in a Christian family and then they had a falling out or whatever. But even in the media, they give the Muslims or whoever a pass on almost anything, and it's always the Christians are the bad guys. And I just don't get the point there. All this they talk about acceptance and everything, but really they accept everybody except for white men that are Christian and not gay. if you're that, you're the bad guy in society, and it makes no sense. I don't get that.
Who is they? I missed the first part.
I mean, the media or the liberals, whoever, or probably not liberals, but leftists, they always talk about acceptance. But if you're a white man, or if you're a Christian, or if you're straight, you're the bad guy. You can be a black guy that's a Christian and straight, and you're fine because you're black. You know what I mean? As long as you're a white straight guy that's a Christian, you're like the scum of the earth to them, and I don't get it.
Well, they're the the left. Their whole thing is to divide and conquer, right? Where they create groups of people that become victims or enemies.
Well, from my point of view, though, like the Muslims, they think, oh, we got to include them and everything, and that's fine. But at the same time, the Muslim beliefs are super conservative. They throw gays off of buildings and everything else, and I don't get how they always stand up for that. I mean, they treat women badly, and then they're over there talking about women's rights all the time, but they love Muslims. I don't get it's a weird combination that makes no sense to me.
They love them because they hate us.
Exactly. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
If anything, they should think of them as like the bad guys, but they think of Christians that way.
But you see, that's where their systems or their beliefs start to break down. If you look at their belief system objectively, you see that there are all kinds of holes in it like that. I mean, even Muslims don't like liberals.
Right.
They don't.
Right.
That's what's funny about it.
I was just reading the comments, and a dude, Caden Robble or something, he says he's not religious, but he thinks that Christianity is the most well-studied and most educated and impressive religion. And I would have to agree with that, or at least Jewish, either the Jewish or the Christians, they, there's a lot of truth to it,
Here's why Christianity appeals to me. It's the religion that mostly identifies with me as a free-thinking person.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, if I decide I don't want to be a Christian, I'm not going to be killed. You don't have to hide from your family. I'm free to be a Christian, or I'm not free. I don't have to. I can be an atheist or a Christian. I don't have to worry about. If you think about it, that Christianity is the most libertarian-like, and people are going to say that's weird, but it is. It's more related to freedom, and that's when our founding fathers started coming over to this continent. Yes, they were basically some form of Christianity, right? Freedom, the idea of freedom came from those roots.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it appeals to me, besides the fact that, it's the religion of peace, when people will argue about that, But
well, Warsaw Patriot says, he says basically include the Catholic Christianity as well, because Europe and what does he say? He says Ireland and all these countries, they have the big cathedrals and culture and education, everything's involved. And I'd have to agree with that. If you look at the Vatican City, they have, a ton of education as well.
Catholicism is just a form of Christianity to me. It all falls under the same umbrella.
Yeah, they just have a different belief system. It's same as like a Baptist and a Lutheran or something. It's different, but it's still Christianity.
The basic belief is that Jesus is God's son, and he came to this earth to forgive us of our sins and create some sort of path to, to heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody, I personally am a Christian. I believe anybody can be saved. It doesn't matter what country or color or whatever you're from. I personally think, if you accept Jesus as, you believed he died on the cross and all that for your sins, and you accept that and, ask for forgiveness. I don't think it matters who or what you are. I mean, that's why he died. He died for everybody. So
yeah, and Warsaw Patriots mentioning the fact that the Pope basically, you know, I mean, they have become very political. You know, of course, it's always been a political. They've always sort of been almost like a theocracy, almost.
Yeah, well, and you know, I think there was a time when it just got really corrupt, and it's probably stayed that way for a long time. You know, back in the day, medieval times, the Catholic Church, you know, they ruled Europe. They actually had armies and stuff. So I mean, there's got to be some corruption in there somehow, even till today. I mean, it's, you know, it's been around for so long.
And then Caden was talking about Buddhism. Yeah, I think Buddhism to me is, you know, when I first started my channel almost 11, 12 years, 2006, I had, you know, you had to come up with this little tagline, or it was, most people were. And my little tagline was, an old carpenter turned artisan, soon to be a bald-headed monk. And so even back then, I was, you know, that was probably about the time I was studying Buddhism. But you know, Buddhism is really kind of a complicated, you know, to me, it overcomplicates, and it's kind of weird about the, you know, reincarnation and all that. It's just kind of weird, you know. You need to go. Caden, go and look at this Sadhguru guy and listen to what he has to say about past lives, and he's kind of funny about it. He makes a joke about how many lives do you think you need to spend before you become perfect, you know? How much time do you have? How much time do you want to spend on that? You know, and I think the Buddhists, don't they believe each time you come back, you become a better, or you're evolving into a better person or whatever.
Yeah, I think I get them confused with the Hindus, but one of them, you know, they believe you get reincarnated. Like if you're a bad person, you go to a lower, like you may become a flea or something. But if you were a good person, you, I don't know, advance to be a better person. I don't know how it works.
I'm showing my age now. I'm getting sleepy. But I think it's interesting, and you know, where it does have some very strange aspects. But I think that the philosophy is very similar to Stoicism, which in my opinion is the best philosophy for success. I think you really need to just check out this Sadhguru guy. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's doing a very good job at getting his message out through YouTube, you know. And when you say philosophy for success, even the things that he says about, you know, yoga. And see, I even feel funny saying that word, because for so long I was programmed to think it was an exercise, you know, but it's not. He laughs about that, you know, and how he concentrates on this philosophy of, you know, looking inward and healing yourself, you know, that your body is capable of healing mentally and physically, you know.
Here, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that kind of thing appeals to me, as far as more than some sort of believing in some sort of deity that the Buddhists believe in. You know?
Well, I mean, we know that I don't know what you'd say, like your stress level, your whatever. If you have conflict inside, it can make you unhealthy. I mean, if you're stressed out, you can have high blood pressure. You can, you know, have all sorts of problems. And if if you're mostly a happy person, you're most likely going to be healthier. And like for a good example, like my face right here, it's red while I'm on this chat because I'm not used to being on camera. So like right there, that's proof that I'm not used to being on camera, so my face turns red, you know. Most of the time my face isn't red, but I'm on camera, so it is. So I mean that just shows like whatever's going on the inside, it will show on the outside. So yeah, I could see that, you know, working on your calmness and whatever you're doing, you know, it's going to have an effect on your physical body.
Well, it's physical and metaphysical, right? Because, you know, when your body releases certain chemicals at certain stages, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's chemistry going on, and there's sort of the mental battle, you know, or mental medicine.
That one guy, Caden, he says, but are you, I don't know, hang on, my Siri just went off. Hang on. Okay, he says basically, are you going to read all philosophy, not just Christian? And I would say, you know, Caden, that's basically what Tony's made this chat for, is he's been watching this other guy, Sadhguru or whatever, that's not a Christian, and he's saying that the whole point of this chat is he's basically saying you need to look at all philosophy. So I would say yes, that he is doing that. And
Yeah,
I don't know how long you've been
whole
watching,
point.
but yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do, is get people like me who grew up in the Bible Belt to inspire them to you know, maybe you skip a Hickok video one night and go watch, you know, a video on philosophy or, you know, different religious systems, you know.
Right. Well,
if you're completely objective, you can even, what's this guy's name? There's a Muslim guy, cleric guy, who basically has had all these debates with Christians and Hindus and Buddhists.
Yeah.
And he's very, very well spoken, and he has converted a lot of people to Islam. Now, he'll never convert me to Islam, but I'm saying if you're completely objective, that'll be your test. You know, if you grew up in the Bible Belt, if you can watch one of his videos and make it through it and find something positive, you know, when here's the thing, they're very devout, you know. Even when he says Jesus, he says, peace be upon him. You know, they revere Jesus as a prophet. So if they say Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jesus, peace be upon him, that's respect they show. They show, in some cases, more respect for Jesus than we do.
Right.
You know? So that's the ultimate. To me, I'm trying to get people, obviously, I'm not trying to convert anybody to anything. I'm trying to get people to think outside of their box a little bit, because I know for a fact that, and I could get into some deep stuff that people would think I was literally crazy. But I know in my own life that I have had success with certain things like meditation and just not just prayer, but meditation and a lot of things that were beneficial to me that were outside of my norm.
Right. I think the guy that you were talking about, I think his name is Dr. Shabir Ali. That's the Muslim guy that does all the interviews and stuff.
Well, there's another one called, and he's more conservative. He's more of a, is it Nakir? What's his name?
I'm not sure.
I'll find it. I know who you're talking about.
Right. The guy in the comments, he says, have you read Marcus Aurelius? He said he likes his outlook on life. It seems almost inhuman to moderate emotion. What is your opinion on emotional extremes?
I think that's what they are, extremes. Emotions. I think you have to keep your emotions in check, because your objectivity is lost if emotions have, if that's, an emotional response is a chemical response, right? In your body. And I think those are the kind of things you have to keep in check. So I'm just talking about objectivity. And I think to me, emotions kind of are what am I trying to say? They're kept in check. Emotions are kept in check with objectivity, I think.
Right.
That's my
I've not read any Marcus Aurelius, but I believe he was like the last emperor before Caesar. I don't know if that's right or not, but I'm not sure on that. But just to answer that guy's question, I am not familiar with what he wrote.
No, but I'm going to write his name down, and I will. That's another thing. See, I expected people to come to these things, this little series, and help me learn new things too.
Right.
Because I'm not above learning something new. That's the whole point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That is the point in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I'm going to have to get off here soon, so maybe like 5 minutes or something. Or now. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I will need to get off soon.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife's probably wanting to go to bed, and my voice is like a laser beam going through the house.
All right.
It's like a jackhammer, she says. So, well, we can end it here. I just think it's interesting. I wish I had been more prepared because I could have probably played some. I meant to put together a little video with some sound bites, just quick sound bites.
Right.
And I might do that next time. I don't know. But I think it's fun. This stuff is more fun to me than, getting on, worrying about a bunch of, I don't know. I better hush my mouth. I'm going to get in trouble. But I do want to thank you. What is your, why don't you type your channel name in the comments?
All right. My fishing channel is Cam. I'm going to type that in. And then if you just look at my name that I'm signed in on right now, that is my second channel. And I will be doing my, it'll have basically my ukulele progress. I'm just doing music stuff on the side. But if you want to see my main channel, it's the Cam one. And I'll be doing fishing stuff as soon as it actually warms up. It's not winter anymore.
And that's how I met you, through your fishing channel, because I think it's really cool. Cam gets, he'll do things like review yak. You used to have a channel called Yak. And you'd get out on the yaks and go fishing. I think that's fun. That's fun stuff.
Yeah, it's the same channel. I just changed my name. I used to have a gun channel, and it was called Cam. So I just went back to the same name.
I've got I'm going to do a parody on you eventually. And I bought some bait.
All right.
I'm giving my video away. I can't find it, but I bought something to do a parody. And, it's on invasive species in Tennessee. It's going to be fun. And have you ever seen I've downloaded the PDF of the invasive species in Tennessee.
No.
It's pretty interesting. But
just email it to me or something.
I'm going to go after this fish that I've named the. Dang it! I'm giving it away. I can't keep a secret for anything.
Well, don't tell me. I just want to see it whenever you post.
Okay. All right.
You want to see your rod and reel you bought from me before you go?
Oh, that's cool.
You go get it. It's right next to me.
Yeah,
I'll show it to you real quick before we get off here.
I meant to lock it on your.
Okay, let me hold it up here to the camera. But it's an Abu Garcia reel. It's the Revo SX, and then it's the carrot stick rod. And carrot sticks are made by the company E21.
Ooh, I like the color.
Yeah, it's like orange. It's actually made out of carrot fibers. That's why it's called a carrot stick. But so they use carrot fibers to build the rod, which is kind of neat because most rods are made out of graphite. this is like a graphite mixture with carrot fibers.
I'm excited to try out the bait caster.
Yeah, and I can, whenever I come down, I can kind of show you how to do it.
I'll be a pro. I'll be a pro by the time you come down. I'm going to open it. I'm going to unbox the other one that I won. Isn't that a bait? Was that a bait caster?
No, the one you won was actually a spinning one.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, I can't wait till we'll have to go over to the dam where they got catfish as big as Volkswagens.
Yeah, catch a swan.
Break my. What's funny is I've got a. I had this idea. I ordered this new because I broke one of my backpacking rods that collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I thought about helping you out with your channel because you kind of changed it a little bit back and forth. Maybe doing a little giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
Where I could do like a joint thing, like a collaboration thing, where when you come down, we could do a video, and I could do that giveaway and try to, you would have figure out a way to incorporate your channel in the giveaway or something.
Right. I mean, yeah, we could do that. I'm not that worried about getting viewers and stuff. I'm just going to let it happen naturally, but. Yeah, I mean, we could do giveaways. I like giving stuff to people anyways, so yeah. I mean,
oh yeah, because I used to get stuff a lot from manufacturers, from VanQuest and Challenge Targets and Through Night, and they would send me the stuff, and I would just give it away. It's fun to have the giveaways.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know what people want to see. I mean, I don't really do many reviews or anything. I just like doing the fishing videos because I'm going to be out there anyways, so I might as well. Have a camera with me because you never really know what you're going to catch. And my thing to make it fun for me to do a YouTube channel, I'm trying to do the different species and keep track of that. And then like the TARP program, Tennessee has it's called the Tennessee Angler Release Program or something like that. And basically, if you catch a fish over a certain length, it's considered a trophy fish, and you can send in proof, like a picture, and they'll send you like a certificate that you can frame. And I'm trying to do that, and if you get 15 different species over the length, that's considered trophy. They send you an actual trophy in the mail, and you get like a Bass Pro shopping trip. So that's kind of like a goal. I may never get the 15 different trophy fish, but I think it's kind of cool.
No, I think that's cool. That's cool. I like that. And now my wife is yelling at me. So get off the computer down there. But thanks again for coming and hanging out. It's not any fun at all. I ramble, for an hour by myself. It's more fun to have somebody here.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe we can get Baird in here next time and hear his take on things too. Other people. Anybody's welcome to join. I always put the link at the top. So the next time you see one of these, just jump in, guys. So hang on just for 1 second, Cam. Okay. After we go off there, I was going to show you something right quick. So,
okay, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and
thanks for watching.
We'll sign off.